Good morning, 11:30. I'm meteorologist Jeff Gerber. We're streaming our current weather across southeast Texas. We'll be streaming for about 15 minutes here, give you a real good look at the weather as we look at what we can expect through the next 7 days. Also, we'll look at the tropics where it's starting to get a little bit more active. A few things that the Hurricane Center is watching. Good news is it looks like none of it's going to be affecting us here in southeast Texas anytime soon. So we'll continue to watch the tropics. Of course, late October, early September, that's the time of year where we really need to focus on the Atlantic, the Caribbean, and the Gulf, where we could see some activity. Usually the peak of hurricane season is up there right around about September 10th or 11th. That's typically when we see the most activity out there in the tropics. But right now there are a few things going on. Like I said, I'll show you that in just a little while here. But first, we'll take a look at what's going on with our weather. Like I said, we'll be taking a good 15-minute look here at the weather. And then later on this evening, this stream is always every morning, Monday through Friday from 11:30 to 11:45. And Patrick Vaughn, chief meteorologist, does a stream every night between 6:30 and 6:45, so you can catch another stream there for about 15 minutes. You're getting a real quick look at the weather. Here's what we're expecting the rest of the day. Temperatures into the lower, maybe a few middle 90s for this afternoon. About a 20% coverage of maybe a few showers out there for this afternoon, an isolated thunderstorm. And then as we head towards this evening, things should start to quiet down once we really start to lose that heating of the day. But still around 90 at 6 o'clock, so we could still see a shower or two. By 10 o'clock, things should be dying down. 82 for a temperature by 10, and expecting lows tonight back down into the 70s, middle to lower 70s, kind of like what we saw this morning. Matter of fact, Jasper this morning, we're dipping down into the upper 60s. That had to feel pretty nice up there in Jasper. I think they dropped about 67, 68 degrees for this morning. Allergy report for today. Nothing to talk about as far as tree or grass. Weed is low at 2, and then mold is a little over 9,000. So not too much to sneeze at for today, but there are a little bit on the mold side and a little bit of weed. So there's still some folks out there that are still very sensitive no matter what this says. They still have some allergies from different things across not only outside but in the house as well. All right, let's take a look at some of these Roofing 911 live sky cams. And we're not seeing too much in the way of any cloud cover, let alone any showers or anything like that. Here's the view from the Horseman's Western Store. And then we'll switch over to Packer the Prey as we see once again, not too many clouds out there. Our Roofing 911 live Skycam network currently showing about 88 degrees downtown, humidity about 58%. That'll get up to about 60 or so as we get into the afternoon. So it will be humid for today. And then we'll see east winds at about 5 to 6. Speaking of that humidity, heat index going to get up close to 100, a little over 100 today. So make sure you're taking care out in the heat. You're staying hydrated. Also, you're getting some breaks from time to time into the AC if you can. If you can't, at least find a shade tree and sit under it for a while and give yourself a few minutes. If you're out gardening or maybe you're out doing a job, working at one of the plants or something, you have to be outside. Make sure you're staying hydrated out there, being safe. Here's the view from our 12 News studio. We have one cloud there showing up. This camera is brought to you by Mid-County Plumbing, part of the Roofing 911 Live Skycam network. And that's about it. We have that one cloud there. And you got to have clouds before you get any rain. So right now we just have a couple of clouds. I think we'll see a few more clouds changing over to more like a partly cloudy sky as we get into the afternoon with the heat and the humidity. We'll see those clouds bubble up a little bit for later on. But on this view, you can see downtown Beaumont off there to the left of your screen. You can see a few of the buildings there in downtown Beaumont. And then we'll switch over to Lake Charles where they have a few more clouds. We have a handful of clouds, we could say, over in Lake Charles on our Roofing 911 Live Skycam network. And it looks nice over there in the lakes area of Lake Charles. You can see to your left of your screen, there's the I-210 bridge, which is south of Lake Charles. The way you kind of go around downtown if you take I-210 and skirt by downtown Lake Charles area. But they're not expecting much rain over in Lake Charles either today if you head in that direction. Maybe a couple isolated showers. That's about it. As we'll see a few clouds develop. And we'll see if we can see one more sky cam before we move along and look at some temperatures and look at the forecast. Yeah, this takes us up towards the lakes area. This is our camera up in Jasper. We have a few more clouds there. Camera brought to you by Provalis. And looking at the Jasper County Courthouse and just some partly cloudy skies there. As temperature in Jasper right now climbing about 86 degrees, even warmer in Kirbyville at 88. Woodville currently at about 88 as well. 87 over towards Orange, and Port Arthur's at 87. Beaumont, now this is west of town, Peninsula Airport, 86. And then Silsbee currently showing a temperature of about 86. Lake Charles at 88, and then Houston already into the lower 90s there at the Bush Airport north of town there. So they're already around 91. They're expecting highs today in the middle 90s. Here's radar, and there are a few isolated showers. We have a stationary front that's right at the coast, and that's sparking off a couple of showers. And you can see one lone shower down in the marshes there, southern Jefferson County. That is about it. Another lone one down there into the Gulf, and maybe a couple more south of Houston. But radar is very quiet right now. Like I said, when we get into the afternoon, we could see a few of these showers kind of be very spotty across the area. I think the lakes area have I put 20% today, but it might be less than that chance. I think really where this front is along the coast, that's where we see the focus for probably our best chance of some rain. So we'll go say I-10 southward, probably our best coverage of maybe some showers out there today. So the triangle better coverage than inland southeast Texas and up towards the lake. So we'll continue to track maybe a couple of these showers as we get into the afternoon. Here's that stationary front. Was around yesterday and still sticking around for today. And you can see most of the activity is south of the front. That's where the deeper moisture lies. Behind the front, a little bit drier, so we don't see too much going on. But you can see over towards the southeastern U.S., some scattered showers and thunderstorms for that front, and then out in the Gulf of Mexico. So yeah, like I said, maybe a couple of showers here and there. Won't be a repeat of yesterday. Yesterday we actually had a cluster of thunderstorms come out of the Dallas area and headed southward. Missed us, but sent out a little cool push of air towards our direction thanks to that cluster of thunderstorms. And once that got over here and ran into the heat and humidity, it kicked up that big band of showers and thunderstorms we saw yesterday late in the afternoon into the evening. We picked up, some places picked up about an inch of rain. So that was a little different situation yesterday as we had that cluster come down. Missed us technically, but we were still affected from it with that little push of cool air, which is called, excuse me, which is called an outflow boundary. Like I said, it's access to a mini cold front, but no outflow boundary today. We're just watching that front and see the focus of what's going on. Let's look around the rest of the country. We have some showers and thunderstorms up through the Dakotas. I think Sturgis is going on up there in South Dakota, so hopefully most of that activity stays north of them. But definitely some big thunderstorms roaming through parts of Montana and Wyoming for this morning. As you look out towards the East Coast, there are some scattered showers through the Carolinas back into Georgia for this morning. Looks like Atlanta's getting some rain, and then some of those showers are working their way all the way up close to maybe Virginia. Looks like a couple of showers in Virginia. New England looks pretty quiet out there. There is a little bit of glitch in the satellite. I apologize for that, but the satellite's been acting up a little bit. Not here, but the national satellite that sent us, it's got a little glitch in it. But Texas is quiet, pretty much, except for, like I said, the northern Rockies. Most of the Rocky Mountain states are pretty quiet, and then the West Coast is also quiet, so no problems there. If you have travel plans, it looks like anytime soon. They've been quiet pretty much most of the summer, which is not a big deal for them, typically a quiet time of year. As we look at our futurecast, we'll climb up into the lower 90s for this afternoon. There's those showers, maybe a few thunderstorms that are popping up maybe along the coast for today. We'll watch for those. And then as we head towards this evening, temperatures drop to around 90 around 7 o'clock. Things should start to die down as far as any activity that does pop up on radar. And then by 10 o'clock, we'll look at temperatures in around 80 degrees, upper 70s, lower 80s, and we'll then drop off into the 70s going into tomorrow morning, middle to lower 70s as we head towards your Wednesday morning. Wednesday afternoon, same type of deal. We'll see temperatures by lunchtime be around 90, and then we climb up into the lower to middle 90s through the afternoon, and we could see 20, maybe 30% coverage and maybe a few isolated showers and thunderstorms again for tomorrow. Let's look out in the tropics. Like I told you at the beginning, we have some things that the Hurricane Center is looking at, but nothing looks like it's going to be affecting the Gulf of Mexico. We have this one area here off the southeastern coast. Right now they're going about a 40% chance and maybe some development there. So something you need to be watching if you have travel plans to maybe the Carolinas or Georgia over the next few days. And then there's another one that's just coming off the coast of Africa. This looks like it's going to be, at least according to the computer models, going to be staying out in the open Atlantic, will not be affecting the Gulf either, but maybe a little bit better chance of developing into something. And then up here is Dexter, which we talked about yesterday. It formed not yesterday, but the night before. It's just a tropical storm, and it looks like it's going to continue to push out towards the open Atlantic there. Of course, that's not going to be affecting us here in the Gulf. So 3 different things on the map as far as the tropics, and none of them look like they'll be affecting us right now. The next 7 to 10 days looks pretty quiet into the Gulf. We'll continue to watch it though. It's that time of year, like I said, where things are getting a little bit more active. You know, just a few days ago, we didn't have anything out there, and now we've got 3 different things the Hurricane Center is trying to monitor. So something we'll be keeping our eye on as we head towards the peak part of hurricane season, or the meat of the hurricane season. All right, our coastal marine forecast for today, mostly smooth in the lakes and bays. No advisories. We'll see a very light wind out of the east-southeast at 5 knots along the coast. Seas about a foot. Next high tide is tomorrow. We had one at 3:58 this morning. We don't see another high tide the rest of the day. We'll actually only have one low tide, and that's at 7:30 for tonight. Our sunset is at 8:06. Right now, at Texas Point, we're seeing a little bit of an east wind. 5 to 9, 7 to 9 as far as the miles per hour, so not much out there. And then water temperature in the Gulf has been generally into the middle to upper 80s for the last, seems like a couple months. All right, our forecast for today, partly cloudy. There's that 20%. I think I could have dropped the 20% up towards the lakes. I don't think we'll see too much there. It's really, I think, inland southeast Texas and the triangle that we'll see maybe 20, 30% maybe down towards the coast. Temperature is going to be hot, 93, 94 for later on this afternoon. That heat index, as I mentioned, maybe 100 to 105, somewhere in that range. So be careful out there with the hydration. And then for tonight, mostly clear, light and variable winds, no rain expected through the overnight. And just like this morning, we'll see a lot of middle to lower 70s. Maybe a few upper 60s as you head maybe towards Burkeville, up in towards south end of Toledo Bend, Rayburn. We could see maybe 68, 69. We've seen that the last couple of mornings. I'd like to see it another morning. Gosh, I wish some of the 60s would come down here to the triangle, but it doesn't look like that's in the cards for us here in the triangle area. All right, here is our 7-day forecast, and you notice we don't really see much change from day to day. Each day we'll see temperatures climbing 92 to about 94, and each morning we'll see those numbers into the middle 70s, 74, 75. And every day, 20, maybe 30% coverage of scattered showers and thunderstorms. To be honest with you, that 20, 30% could be any of these days. Maybe a few of these days with a 30% chance of rain, could be a little bit higher, maybe closer to about 40% in some of those days. But all in all, it's just going to be one of those deals where the mornings tend to be pretty quiet. We might see a few showers along the coast, and then once we get into the heat of the afternoon, that activates some scattered showers and thunderstorms. They linger into the early evening, die down, and then we do it all again the next day. That's typically what we see in the summertime, and this is a very summertime pattern for southeast Texas here. Our typical high this time of year is right at 94. That's our average high. So we have one day, maybe a couple of days we might hit 94, but for the most part, most of our forecast is calling for temperatures to be into the lower 90s and those middle 70s. So keep an umbrella handy. I would, take it with you in the car in case you're trying to run in somewhere and all of a sudden you run into a quick shower and you'll need it. But I wouldn't be grabbing the whole rain gear, that's for sure. You don't need the whole outfit there, as we'll just see a few showers here and there. Even though if it does rain, we'll see maybe a few heavy downpours here and there. I also want to give you the weather impact phone line. It's 409-749-9302. This is the line we've set up to answer any questions that you have, especially when we're getting into hurricane season. We can run into a lot of questions as far as what's going to be happening over the next few days or something like that. Or if you just have questions about an event you're having this weekend, or maybe an event you're going to be having maybe even next week. Text us at 409-749-9302, and we'll be able to hopefully get back with you and let you know what